All right, guys. Hey, welcome back. This is the Co-Travel Podcast with Bob Piercey. And today, this is actually something pretty cool and pretty new. I got two guests on today. So Tyler McClendon and Mark. And hey, you know what? In all the pre-talk, Mark, I never even got your last name.
It doesn't matter, but it's Wagner.
Mark Wagner. All right. And these guys are from DOD. Now, I've known Tyler here for quite a few years. He's in the dental industry. And we've been working side by side. And he's out in Vancouver. But we're actually going to do something different today. We're kind of going to interview each other because we both have our own podcast. And we're just going to kind of hit it off. So, guys, Dentist on Demand. I want to know the backstory. How did you guys know each other? Where'd this idea come from? And what are you guys doing right now?
Actually, Tyler just picked me up hitchhiking about 10 years ago, and we hit it off.
He had two coffees in his hand. It was just, I couldn't help myself.
And you've kept him in that wooden shed wherever you guys are recording this video right now. So
we have nicknames for each other, but I don't think they're appropriate for your show.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, we met, I guess, like 10 or 11 years ago. 10 or 11 years ago, playing hockey. Ty actually brought me into the dental world, so it's his fault.
A couple of good Canadian kids playing hockey.
Yeah. So he's like, Mark, you got to get into dental. It's great. So here I am, 10 years later.
What did I know? Little did I know. Hey, Bob.
Yeah. Well, that's basically the same timeline where you and I met. So back then you knew almost nothing and I knew probably less, but anyways, here we are now. So a couple of rock stars with our own podcast, right?
Yeah. So, in the evolution of that, obviously, Bobby, you and I have been great colleagues and friends for a few years, and same with Mark and I. So when we got into dental together, I was like, I always dabbled in this sort of multimedia side of things. Like, let's show products on my. Back then, we weren't calling them podcasts back in 2014. Remember, I did that DentalBytes series where we'd have products that I'd feature on my show, actually in the studio. And then this is, 6 or 7 years later, this is kind of what it's evolved to. And really, it's more for us, like just at the very starting point, it's you and I and Mark, we know so many great dentists in Canada, in the US. The genesis of Dentist on Demand is really to improve access to oral care because we know so many great dentists. And if you can, if Mark can, if we can help sort of tell their story, whether it's putting them on the DoD platform, whether it's shooting a video for them, whether it's having them on a podcast, there's so many tools at our disposal now to really help our dentists, our denturists, our specialists, all these wonderful dental professionals tell their story and, help educate the public on what they do and why they want to come see them. That's really at the genesis of what Dentist on Demand is.
Right. And taking the storytelling part, helping them do that. Like every dental practice they want to be busy and they want to be busy doing dentistry. So we really take that piece away not away from them, but we leverage their story on Dentist on Demand and use our tools so that, that storytelling is more effective across marketing platforms.
And I guess that sounds great. It's just a little deeper, or maybe even not as deep as you guys just went, like on the simplest forms, like what is Dentist on Demand? Because there's a lot of platforms out there right now that talk about marketing, whether it's text messaging or emailing, social campaigns, or actual just regular marketing agencies that you could use to do a website and SEO. Like what does Dentist on Demand specifically do that's different than those? And how are you guys kind of leveraging that in the dental industry?
So there's two sides to it. So the first side is we're drawing new patients with marketing. We're bringing them into our environment. And we have a whole periphery of tools surrounded around Dentist on Demand just to make that process from patient out there and then patient into practice frictionless, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think at its core, Dentist on Demand is a content-driven dental directory.
Yeah.
So a dentist can jump into the Dentist on Demand platform at an $8.99 level, like almost like a Netflix subscription, just saying, I want to be involved in this somehow. Mm-hmm. There's a tool for me within the Dentist on Demand ecosystem somewhere. And the more our clients learn about what we do, they can pick and choose what they want to use. What they use this month might be different from what they use next month on a marketing level. But we're not really when it comes to what we do and who we are, what our DNA is, we're different from marketing companies because we're really a hybrid. So though we have partners in the marketing world, so we work with a lot of different marketing agencies to say, hey, you know what? this client needs a website built, so we're going to introduce you to this marketing firm.
Right.
Because we don't, we're a hybrid. So we're really about generating traffic, creating content for you. When it comes to the nuts and bolts online marketing stuff, we like to leave a lot of that to the professionals. That's not really what we do. So that's kind of the difference between us and a traditional marketing company.
Yeah. And we actually work with a lot of dentists, the marketing company that they're already using. So the goal is to drive new patient traffic, to drive recall, to drive case acceptance, all that good stuff. Drive reviews is another big one.
Yeah.
So
a lot of these are drivers. Here's a good example. So right now, like as a sole proprietor, if you're a dentist and you need to market, everyone knows they need to spend marketing dollars, but it's like, okay, well, where do I start? Like I know I got to be on Google. I know I got to be ranked somewhere on that. Well, Google's good. They're doing a lot of great things. And they're also doing things like the perceptions out there, like, well, it's too expensive to get into that. How do I get ranked on it? But Google's actually like, they're pretty brilliant the way they roll things out. And what I mean by that is you can pay to get advertising on Google, or you can be smart about it and create some really cool, engaging content. And then you can utilize that, in whatever social media platform you want. They're giving you lifelines to say, you don't have to spend a ton of money. If you're smart about your marketing, if you create content, if you're putting engaging stuff out there and engaging with your audience, you can drive your SEO as well, doing those like
and on the organic side.
Yeah. And when you're paying across every platform, you're paying for a click, right? So it's how to reduce that cost of the click. And there's all sorts of methods to do that.
Yeah. And that's really where we dive in, is that how can we get you, so your pay-per-click, say if you're paying $10 per click to bring patients to your practice. Okay, now what are all the different tools that we can use to help you bring that cost down, number one? And number two, ideally not have to pay anything for any clicks. That's kind of what the end goal is.
Well, organically it's tough.
It is tough, obviously, but everyone's kind of trying to move in that direction.
Yeah.
Let's try to get that cost down.
Yeah, for sure. Organic is a good way to test out what you're doing.
Right. Okay. So I guess to push you a little bit here, just to kind of, so if I'm a dentist running a practice, I could, pay Google for clicks. I can advertise directly on Google, or I could honestly engage a firm like yours and pay you. I'm still paying money, but in the end result is I'm going to get clicks and views and hopefully patients. I guess what I'm kind of thinking is, by having the content that you guys I'm paying you to create, that content is going to last me. Well, I'm going to have that content forever, and it can be repurposed, reused.
Yeah.
And so really I'm getting more by paying a company like yours to create content for me, to help me create content, than to simply just buy an ad space on Google and do Google words or something like that.
Yeah. And the question that I would ask all dentists out there is, like, you're paying money. What are you paying for that traffic? You're paying for traffic, right? What are you paying per click, right? And I guarantee it, because I follow the analytics and data.
He's an analytics freak.
I'm a nerd, so
he spends all day looking at analytics.
I've got 3 screens up, and I'm looking at all, like, who's clicking on what, where they're coming from, what the trends are.
My phone goes all day. Look at this stat.
Yeah.
Look at this number. Look at this ad we bought. We paid 3 cents for this.
That.
Like,
and
it's really cool.
Dentist on Demand's goal is to, the money that we accept from our clients, we're going to make those dollars go further than, some marketing agencies are charging like up to $10,000 a month. It's a scary amount of money.
But it is, but it's justified, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're certainly not here to point fingers at any marketing firms at all, because that's what it costs to market someone.
Yeah. And we have the tools to say, like, if you like what you're seeing, the dentist has those dials in their hands. Like, if they want to get more, we show them the analytics that this is what we're getting for you. If you want more, well, we have the opportunity to do an additional boost and go from there, or deploy more tools, or, it's an a la carte. We want to turn the computer screen around and show results. And
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. If you can show it and you can show that you've created something, then really basically it becomes a gas pedal. You push the gas harder, you're going to go faster. You're going to get more return. Yeah. I remember, Tyler, back when first starting, like, seeing an example P&L statement for what an ideological dental office would look like. And back 10 years ago, they're saying that marketing dollars should be 3 to 4% of an ad campaign.
So,
And would you say that's the same now, or like, in this world where now digital's taking
no, it's
off?
more.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
So
it's closer to 10.
Marketing is like putting a vending machine in your house, and you put $1 in it and you want 2 to come back, right? The goal is, looking at those analytics and that data, and you're putting $1 in and seeing 10 back, right? So that's the sort of the goal with it. There's all sorts of tools and different things to use out there, but it's using the right mix of those tools to essentially put that $1 in and see 10 come back, put that $1 in and see 20 come back, right?
And it's obviously market specific, right? So I mean, what we're seeing in Canada, the marketing budgets, maybe there's a 3 to 5% range. In the US, I think it's probably higher because there's more dentists. It's a little more competitive for patient acquisition there. But I wanted to quickly go back to your content comment about paying for Google ads or paying for, and we're not picking on Google. It's like Google's there. It's a force of nature.
You need your reviews. Yeah. Reviews are SEO
currency. We're just gonna call it a search engine for now. Yeah. But my point is that, so with content, what we do is we, like a marketing firm, it's really expensive to create content.
Yeah.
So because we're in dental, we can create dental specific content for pennies on the dollar, not pennies, but a fraction of the cost of what it costs someone else to do. So we can create that content. We're fully outfitted on a technological, cameras, mics, all the rest of it that we need to do it. So we can create that content at a much lower cost. And the goal is to basically have a content funnel for our clients and say, there's always going to be this basket of content that we can pull from.
Yeah.
Let's just keep creating content with you, the client, the dentist, keep cataloging that content, so that when it's time to run a campaign, hey, this month we're going to talk about breast cancer awareness. We can pull something from the archives and say, you know what, we shot a video on breast cancer awareness last, 6 months ago. Let's pull that out and we can repurpose that.
Right. And I suggest to anybody that's doing their own marketing out there, get a Google Drive. Anything that you shoot, take pictures, put it into that drive, because you can pull from that.
That's where you're cataloging all your content.
Yeah. And that's sort of your storyboard where you can pull from. So,
and it's great because you can organize it. You can basically create all these different folders and say, you know what?
Yeah.
You can go by month, you can go by week, you can go by different themes. It's really cool the way you can catalog all your content and then pull it out laterwards for later campaigns.
Yeah.
Now, so when I think of Google Drive, I'm basically just thinking of like cloud storage, like Dropbox.
Yeah, you can use a Dropbox or
we use Google Drive, but
I love Google Drive because I think it's the best. But
we use Drive, we use Dropbox, we use 2 or 3 different types. So
is there any advantage in SEO in regards to helping Google help you by using Google Drive over other sources, or is it just it's a tool you guys like and recommend?
And you got to pay.
Sorry, go on.
You got to pay for storage. So,
if the more storage you have, the more it costs you per month. Yeah.
Okay. And Tyler, I guess telling stories is kind of your forte. It's kind of your background. You have please, like, what am I talking about, Tyler? Like, what's your IMDb account like? What's that look like these days?
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. Like, I mean, I come from this is definitely in my wheelhouse, right? So telling stories, and I do have a BFA in theater after all. I do have my training is in story writing. So we do. I mean, not to toot our own horns, but we do bring basic story structure into content creation. And I'm not sure if this is the segue that you wanted to go on, but in terms of content creation, like, this is kind of something that I'm passionate about. So Mark is the technical guy. He puts everything together and he measures the numbers and makes sure we're getting a good return for our clients. But I'm the content creation guy. I'm looking at stuff going, well, does this tell a story? What type of message are we putting out for the client? Is there a beginning, middle, and end? So I can look at this stuff from a creative perspective, my years of creating films and plays and script writing and all the rest of it, and go, okay, well, what story do we want to tell here? What's the message? What's the plot line for this? Do we have a plot line for the practice? Do we have a plot line just for this person? So those elements of storytelling do go into what we craft for our clients at Dentists on Demand. So
and that gets tricky sometimes because not all these clinicians want to be in front of a camera too, right? So you got to be super creative with how you tell that story.
And that's cool too, because there's a lot that goes into a dental practice, as you know, Bobby. So for us, it's like, hey, you know what? You don't want to be in front of the camera? No problem. We've got 100 other things we can spotlight
absolutely,
about you.
Yeah. We're getting a drone, so that's going to be fun.
You're getting a drone. Awesome. I shot some drone footage for a couple of clients of mine, not last summer, but the summer before, just aerial footage of clinics from parking lots, just to kind of, so they get incorporated into their websites or their SEO. Because I've got a drone too. It's kind of fun to rip around on. But I guess one thing that just, a conversation I had a couple episodes ago was on marketing and advantages of marketing, and we're talking about how does a solo-owned like GP practice compete against the DSOs?
Great question.
And one of the things that kind of came up was kind of what you're talking about in terms of this storytelling, is that the DSOs or these corporate organizations, they really struggle in the personalization of dentistry, and a lot of GPs, in my mind, kind of shoot themselves in the foot by using the same stock photos on their website. And they're not telling that story. But you're also very true in saying that a lot of doctors don't want to be in front of the camera. It just seems to be a common personality trait amongst dentists.
It's not specific to dentists. That's a human thing. If you're not used to it, you're not going to want to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And here's a Gary V tidbit.
We love Gary V.
Quality of content is subjective, right?
Point.
If everybody's worried about how it looks, it doesn't look great. Sometimes it comes off looking and feeling better when it's more real like that. So get a little brave, get in front of that camera, like get used to it, because that's the way the world's going. And I think for a solo GP out there, I think makes them stronger to tell their own story.
Yeah. And it's
well, and just to kind of, for myself to look in the mirror, that's exactly the same way I am with this. Like, I'm not in a studio. I'm up in my bonus room. And my thought is too, like the rawness of it, it kind of has an authenticity to it, as opposed to if it is too polished, if I am making too many cuts and edits, and if I'm really scripting out these conversations I'm having, it's not going to be as authentic. It's not going to appear as real. 100%. And people aren't going to, hopefully they trust me more doing it the way that I'm doing it. So I think what you say is 100%. Look, why is TikTok so popular right now?
100%.
Well, it's full compared to...
Right? And TikTok rewards the creators too, which I love. Right. So,
and I mean, what do you have to hide at the end of the day? Like we're all going to make mistakes. I've been up here. I've been recording. I've said stupid things. I've said things thank you. Mark can attest to it. But I've said things, like in front of the camera where I'm like, oh, wow, that sounded bad. I hope I didn't offend that person. Hope I didn't say something offside. Hope that wasn't offensive to our viewers. Like, those ideas come through your head. But after a while, you're like, well, wait a second. I'm a pretty good person. I don't put my foot in my mouth too much. Well, I mean, Bob, you can probably argue that. But my point is, we're in front of the camera and we're just kind of being ourselves. And this went back to something we were talking about at the PDC last year, is that people are going to come. It helps your audience figure out if they want to come see you. So if you're a dentist and you're like, if Tyler McLennan is a dentist and I'm up here talking, not everyone's going to like me. That's just reality, right? There's going to be a segment of the population that watches this and they look at me and they go, yeah, not for me.
His head's too shiny or something.
His face is too washed out. He's got some weird shadow over his head. Yeah. But not everyone's going to like me. But guess what? The people that aren't sure are like, you know what? I like what he has to say. He's saying something interesting. That really triggers me. I get that. I understand something about my past history, whatever it is. Basically what we're doing is we're relating to our audience. We're saying, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Not everyone's going to like it, but the people that do, then you got patients coming through your door and they're like, hey, I feel like I know you.
And you know what that is at the nucleus of that? It's trust.
It's trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a patient wants to lay in that chair and they trust those eyes looking down at them. That's it.
And it doesn't have to be a ton of content. And I say this all the time. If you just start small, hi, I'm Dr. McClendon.
Yeah.
I just want to say hi. Or I'm new to this. I'll come back on next week.
I'm how it goes. Dr. McClendon, this is how I like my coffee.
We'll see you next time I come back on the camera.
Humanize.
Again, that might not land with some person, but it's going to land better than just a stock photo of a person that doesn't work or isn't a patient of your practice. Like, how is that beneficial? How is that going to have any draw or any positive influence towards the practice?
And you got to think too. Yeah. Like when people are looking at stuff, they're flicking.
Yeah.
They're flicking through. Yeah.
What's going to stop that? Their eyes, and if they see that stock photo, they've probably seen something or felt something like that before. They're just going to keep going. It's like people have like an ad radar, right? Oh, it's something flashy. Okay. People really want to, there's a huge push to have like real, non-fake, unique connection.
Interactions.
Connections. Right now we're just getting blasted with so much stuff and it's so cookie cutter.
There's so much noise out there.
Yeah.
That if you're not telling a compelling, unique, authentic story, no matter how you come across on the camera, if it's not unique, authentic, and interesting, not only you're not going to get heard, you won't exist.
Yeah. And I'll add to that. I'll piggyback off. That's Dentist on Demand. We're going to help our clients do that and coach them.
So do you guys actually host your own clients, your dental clients and lab clients on the podcast and interview them for the purposes of marketing that to potential customers, potential patients?
You know what? Absolutely. You know what a podcast is absolutely fantastic for. And I've coined this as the content vortex, right? So
great word.
Out of a podcast like we're doing now, we have audio, which we're going to put on Spotify, iTunes, all sorts of different, spots there. And then we can clip it up and make videos on cool little sound bites for YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, and cut it down even further. And we got little bits for Instagram and Facebook. You get so much out of a podcast. It's absolutely fantastic. So the answer to your question is absolutely. Yeah.
It's a content rich.
And I saw this, somebody wrote this the other day. It's like, you try and get on the call with somebody these days and like, I don't have any time for a call, right? I don't have time to call. Hey, do you want to jump on my podcast? And you literally then have an hour-long conversation with them, extracting all the great bits, right? It's such a powerful tool. And you know what? There's a lot of great podcasts out there and a lot of people are listening to podcasts. So it's a great forum.
No, I love it. Like I got into podcasts years ago, just driving around my car. I got tired of listening to music. Yeah. And it was a migration from music to audiobooks. And then from audiobooks, I went into podcasts. And that's what opened me up to this whole medium, and what also made me want to do one myself. Because again, there's so many ways you can chop it up. You can make your as niche as you want. In regards, that's what we're both doing. We're both in the dental space, and that kind of seems like a very niche area. And of course, it is. But again, it's
information rich though, right? So there's so much information you can pull and talk about.
And it's great, like there's so much to teach in dentistry too. So there's so many conversations to be had, like on different specialties, or, like the conversation is limitless. And, we talk about getting into dental 10 years ago, like even these 10 years, we can talk about all the change, right?
Well, there's 10 years of history now of us being in the dental industry where it's like, we can draw on our experiences and say, this is going to flavor my opinion of that particular topic. Yeah. Specific to dental. So
it builds community too.
And I kind of like that segue, Bob. So like, I know you're interviewing us, and by the way, I love being interviewed. Like, it's a nice change because we're always the guys interviewing. So like, you're a fantastic interviewer. I think you do a really tremendous job at this. So
yeah, good job.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
But your segue, like, I just want to throw it back to you. Like, so like, how did you get started? Like, I mean, I know you and I have talked about doing podcasts for a few years now. What was your impetus to get started?
Well, this whole thing really first started. Actually, I've had an interest in this obviously for a while. And again, like I said, it became because I was a fan of podcasts and I listened to podcasts driving around between making my dental calls all day. So obviously interested in the medium. And then really this thing started because of COVID. We came back from the PDC. You talked about the PDC, and I almost interrupted you and said, the good old days, like before all this, COVID happened. But we came back from the very media covered PDC in Vancouver, where dentistry was getting lit up because of a COVID exposure. Yeah. And lockdown, shut down, we're in our house for 3 weeks or more, just waiting around. But there's a need to still want to communicate with your clients, and we're salespeople, and we get paid by selling. But at the same time, we like to think that we're helping our clients. So really, that's really our goal is to provide information and help. And there's a ton of information at the time in regards to how to handle your team at the clinic. How does an office shut down safely? How do they prepare to open up safely so that there's not as much mechanical issues, and this whole gamut of information. And we were sending out a ton of emails, and then actually, at the PDC, Tyler, you introduced me to BombBomb.
Right.
And so BombBomb is a platform I've used again since the PDC, and I planned on using it regardless, but COVID just made it much more. And so BombBomb, for people that don't know, is a way to actually embed video directly into the email. And I'm actually excited to say that actually Justin from BombBomb is going to be a guest in the near future as well.
Oh, that's cool.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, fantastic guy. And again, I think BombBomb is a really great tool that offices could use to help, again, promote that personal touch by sending video emails to their clients. But anyways, I started scheduling Zoom conversations, and I record the Zoom conversations with professionals in the dental industry. We were talking about COVID a lot initially. And then I sent those videos out to my clients via BombBomb, and that's just kind of where this started. And then as I started getting some good feedback on these videos and these conversations I was having, coming into January or December, and I thought, like, well, how can I take this to the next level? And so I started considering the podcast form. And also because the podcast gives me an opportunity to extend the conversation. When I was strictly doing video, when a person looks at a video, because I know when I look at a video on YouTube, I'm like, do I have 5 minutes and 43 seconds to watch this? Or am I going to save this for later? Or can I commit 17 minutes, or should I get back to work? So the videos I wanted to keep short and dense. And also with the whole authenticity thing, I don't want to do really any editing or post-production. So I want this to be authentic. So I figure if I make this shorter, there's less chances that I'm going to have like a verbal blunder or dead air. So less stuff to mix up. But then the podcast allows you to go past that, because again, people are listening in the cars. Maybe they're listening in the gym, or, who knows, I don't think a dentist would be listening to a podcast while they're doing a dental procedure. That's probably too much to ask for, but
distracting.
It just,
yeah.
Yeah, it might. But again, it just gives the opportunity. And so that was kind of like the arc of how this whole thing started. And also too, Tyler, you were a bit of an inspiration in this. You were supportive in the conversations. I shared a lot of the videos I did, and you were the one telling me that this was, I was doing good work. So part of this is, you get the part of the blame on this. But yeah, I guess that's kind of,
it is good. And that, not to cut you off, Bob, but like for your podcast, for example, like I'll go to the gym, like I've been trying to get in shape. Like, COVID for me has been, okay, well, let's focus on some inner reflection. Like, what can I do to make myself better? Right. There is less windshield time, right? Like we're seeing less clients. Yeah. We're limited in FaceTime. So I'm on the elliptical, or I'm up at 4 or 5 in the morning, like ungodly hours, trying to get into shape. What am I doing? I'm sticking my earbuds in, and I'm on the treadmill, and I'm listening to your podcast for 20 minutes while I'm on the elliptical at the gym. So for me, if I want to say, like, and that's why I think the power of your podcasts are so powerful, because if a dentist wants to hear about a new product or a service or a new software or a way to increase their SEO, and you've had that topic on your show, and they're doing something like I'm doing, or there's a time where they're doing something kind of pedestrian, where like either they're driving or they're working out or whatever it is. I mean, that's when they're listening to what's new on the Bob Piercey podcast. And I think
co-travel with Bob Piercey.
Co-travel with Bob Piercey.
Yeah, get it. You're gonna get the name out there.
Got it right.
And yeah, I agree completely. It's just I think first of all, it was an interest. So I think it's hard to do something that you're not interested in. So obviously I was interested in this. So it gave you the passion to kind of get behind it and do it. And also at this early stage, I've already at this point, referred clients to, hey, I had a podcast talking about this, and I sent them the link to the podcast or the video, and I've already used it. And again, and also too, trying to communicate with our clients, Tyler, as you know, again, you walk into the clinic and you hope they're busy. You really do. If a dentist is sitting around in their back office with nothing to do except talk to their rep, maybe there's some other things that, we should be looking at or discussing with the practice, but you hope that they're busy. But again, even just going back to the videos that I sent out before the podcast, I had doctors comment like, hey, they did their day of work. They came home, they, spent some time with the family. Now it's end of the evening and they're just kind of winding down. And they saw that I sent an email with a video. Well, hey, let's listen to what Bob has to say. So they'd play it and watch it or listen to it. And whether it was discussing some equipment they're looking to purchase or some new government program that's coming into that's going to help with COVID relief, they chose a time to listen to it. So they were more open to listening to it and absorbing the information in the message than if I was, trying to catch them between patients in a busy clinic.
That's brilliant.
So again, it comes down to they get to choose when they consume this
On their terms.
and there's nothing's ever going to beat a face-to-face, knee to knee, in-person conversation. But, I think this is a pretty good alternative to, a handwritten email or, typed out email.
It
also-
stages further conversation.
Yeah. And it also separates, when you talk about BombBomb, as you're scrolling through your, 76 unread emails that day, and you see an email with Bob's face on it and he's talking to you, you're like, this email is actually talking to me. So I'm going to open that one first, so that's
there's a reason why we included BombBomb in our for free of services. It's a great tool.
It's a great tool. We use it as well.
Yeah.
So it's
for sure. But we just, the three of us just spent the last few minutes gushing about podcasts and videos and how, but at the same time, I have had clients say, look, can you just type out an email? And so they just want to read text, and that's them. So I'm not insulted by that. So what I, now how I've adapted is when I'm sending out videos, I will incorporate hey, please watch the video above. And I'll put like some bullet points below in the email as to if all they want is the text and the facts, and they can get it. But I've got a lot of good responses on the video and the email. And again, not to make this a conversation yeah, we all want options. We all want to, choose our options. I'm the same way. So you just have to kind of figure out what people want, how they want to receive the information, and conform to that. The one commercial I'll continue with BombBomb is I think any dental office would benefit by end of the day sending a 5-minute video to every single patient that came in the door that day. The hygienist should do it. The doctor should do it. Just like, hey, Tyler, thanks for coming. Great to see you.
20-second video.
20
seconds.
And again, you can make the call, but when I call you on the phone, I'm calling you when it's convenient for me, and it might not be convenient for you.
You know what would be powerful? So we actually have a software at Dentist on Demand where you can text out an automated review request.
Mm-hmm.
So this is new to Dentist on Demand. We just basically built this into the program last week. So now we have an automated. So the same way you would send out a recall reminder, automated through whatever software you're using, you can now through Dentist on Demand, you can send out an automated review request. Mm-hmm. So imagine sending out a review request with a BombBomb video saying, hey, it was great to see you today. I hope everything heals up well. You have my number. If anything, if you have any concerns or if you're experiencing some pain, and hey, if you had a great experience today, right below me here, just click on that button and then you'll be able to give me a review. It'll take you 2 seconds.
Yeah. That's
so
smart.
Giving the dentist the power to empower their team with this tool to say, hey, reviews. I mean, I think we know most people know now reviews are critical in dental.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an automated program built into your office where you're like, hey, not only are we asking for the review via text or email, we're actually attaching a video to it from the dentist or from the treatment coordinator, whoever's sending them out, to say, it was great to see you today. Please, give us a 4 or 5 star or whatever, you know what I mean? Give us a review. And we'll see you at your hygiene appointment in 3 months or 6 months.
And here's a good segue to teledentistry, right? Like for a dentist or for the staff too. That's another tool in our belt is the virtual consultation. And it, in the beginning, it was like, I don't know if it's a good fit for the practice. And then we're looking at some of these practices.
It's such an interesting point.
1,500 minutes logged in the month of January.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Teledentistry is easy. Like that's an easy one for us because like when we first started, cut you off, Mark, but like when we first started talking about teledentistry, which again, it's something within the Dentist on Demand ecosystem where we say, you know what, you might want to consider having some virtual consults with people. The initial response to teledentistry from a lot of people was like, it's not for me. I don't really want to get on a camera and talk to patients. That's now changed.
Okay. So, and because Tyler, we've had lots of conversations about this over the years. So I was waiting for you guys to bring this up, and I'm glad you did. And I'm surprised it wasn't the first thing out of your mouth, but so again, teledentistry, like what is this? Like, what are you actually offering these doctors? Like, what is this? Like yeah, please start over. Like, teledentistry?
Yeah, I'll jump into this. It's become, you can use it for all sorts of things. To say, hey, patient, nice to meet you. It's going to be great to see you in the practice. Have a 5-minute conversation. And for new patient acquisition, it is great for, let's talk about this big case. We're showing now visuals on a screen with the patient. They're in their house. You're talking about doing this big cosmetic case. You just put an implant in a patient post-op. How's it healing? There's all sorts of great uses for it, and we're brainstorming new things every single day, and it just enhances access to oral care just that much more. It's a fantastic tool, and the people that are jumping on board with it are realizing that very quick. We've got Sarah that's going to come on, a treatment coordinator, that she gushes to Tyler like on a daily basis, like, oh my God, I can't imagine my life without this tool anymore. Like they wouldn't be able to run their practice without virtual consult. Yeah. Like their closing case acceptance has gone through the roof, and their connection with their patients it's just I think it's the biggest disruptor to hit dentistry, or one of the largest ones.
And, sure. And so this is a video conversation, a video call, a Zoom call, kind of like we're having now with a doctor and a patient, talking about anything from welcome to the clinic as a new patient to discussing a major case. So the patient doesn't actually have to come into the dental clinic to take this call. They could do it at the convenience of their own home. And again, they can have a face-to-face conversation with their dentist. Yeah. So the way we built it at Dentist on Demand, and the reason I didn't gush about it or talk about it right at the gate because we found other tools that are just as compelling. Like, I know there's so much to talk about. Teledentistry is great, and we are using it, and it's going amazingly for our clients. So we should talk about it first because we are having a lot of success with that and the content creation and driving people's reviews and their Google rank. Those are the two things that we're really kind of So they see our ads, they come to the site, they're booking virtual consultation, and you can actually book a virtual consultation right off of a Facebook ad if you wanted. So So for us, the way we've built it at Dentist on Demand is the easiest path. The path of least resistance wins. So if a new patient can see your ad on Facebook and look at it and go, wow, I click on that button and a scheduler appears and I pick a time and it automatically sends a teledentistry invite to the dentist and the patient. Yeah. And now the patient is pre-qualifying. The dentist has already pre-selected times that they're available. Mm-hmm. The patient just picks the time that the dentist has already put in there, or the treatment coordinator, whoever's doing that. Then the appointment's set up. Before they even book the appointment, they have to go through a logic field where they're basically filling out a questionnaire. What's your chief concern? Mm-hmm. What's your information? Are you a patient of record? If not, are you willing to sign a COVID release form? You can actually put the HIPAA compliant forms right in that questionnaire as well, so that they can fill it out even before the consult happens. Yeah. So another great tool is digital forms. Digital forms is another tool we offer. But so the ability for the patient to, within 5 minutes, see a dentist, like their story, find a spot in their schedule, book a virtual consult, and be talking to the dentist or the treatment coordinator, somebody from that office, either same day, an hour later, 50 minutes later, whatever time it is. Now we've removed all of that friction from the process. And then they go do their treatment procedure, leave the practice, and away goes the invite to review. Yeah. So the goal for us is to say, when the patient comes to the dentist, they literally, if you wanted to, they can drive up, text you that they're there. You text them back and say, yes, come in. They walk in, they get their treatment, they walk out. They've already had the conversation about that treatment before they've put a foot in the practice. Everything is done online. The only thing that is not being done online is their dental work. Yeah. Which has to be done in the chair.
Try. I mean, they might have some tools at home, but I don't recommend that at all. But so
no, I don't either.
So when we say that, it's acknowledging the fact that, yes, of course, it's dentistry. The patient has to come in and have work done in their mouth, but everything else can be being taken out of the office. It doesn't need to happen there. So does that mean you need less staff? No. These jobs exist. People still need to stay in the office or stay as part of the office, whether they're working from home or remotely.
these administrative tasks still need to get done, but now it's in a streamlined, more efficient manner. And I think that it's really sort of trimming a lot of the fat out of the admin that dentistry carries.
Yeah, it's have that huddle in the morning and away they go. It's focus on dentistry and less of the administration part.
2 areas.
Well, and
Cosmetic, ortho,
Big time.
right out of the gate.
And new patient too. Let's not fool
New patient
ourselves.
as well.
Like it exposes, it allows the patient to connect with the dentist before they get to the practice.
Yeah. And interview.
well, and the thing that just makes sense to me too is just going back to, again, we were talking about earlier, and just like, the authentic feel of it, stumbling on my words here, but also like they get to know the dentist or the treatment coordinator, people at the clinic before they even get there.
And you know what, the chances of that patient not canceling and going to their appointment is increased, right?
It has to. I can only. I'm sure you're still going to get some people that cancel, but at the same time, you've already made that connection, that visual connection. You've already met that person, instead of in person, via a Zoom type call. So again, it's just you're bringing them into the practice, into the under your wing before they've even step foot in your door. So it just extends. I think it extends their reach. I think it creates, again, a better experience for the patient. There has to be more flexibility in regards to when some of these appointments can be scheduled. Yeah. And again, like you said, you still need to come into the clinic to do the work, but your time in the clinic can be done more effectively, more streamlined.
I think the other thing it does too, and this falls into the trust bucket, is that it really helps you set expectations with your patients. So, like, for example, if I want to interview an employee, or if I want a patient to come see me, we're going to talk about why they've come to me that day, or why I'm talking to this person. So we're going to establish, we're going to frame the conversation. Why are we talking today? So we'll establish that. Once we sort of get to the root cause of why we're talking, we'll start to create solutions, create options for them. And then we'll start to say, does this a real expectation? Does this sound reasonable to you? Is this something that you might be interested in? There's obviously an interviewing style that can sort of, people can use, they can make it their own, however they want. But then you're setting expectations to say, here's what to expect when you come to our practice. And the more you can educate a patient on what to expect when you come to the practice, here's what I'm like, here's what you're going to get this when you come to the practice. There's no smoke and mirrors here. So
it takes the anxiety out of it for the patient too.
When people know what the expectations are, I think it brings the anxiety level down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? There's less thought, like void of thought. Like
everything's more familiar.
It's more familiar. It's also part of the conversation. You're holding up your end of the bargain. You're like, Dr. Smith and I talked about having this, I wasn't sure what to do with this wisdom tooth, whether we're going to pull it or put a crown on it. We both agreed that we're going to put a crown on it. So, as part of my treatment plan, I got to make sure I got to go back on January 5th to have that done. And, because that's one step in the treatment plan that you have discussed with your patient.
And they could
a virtual consult.
They can even talk about, like, they go in depth of like, okay, this is what you're going to feel like when we do this procedure too. Right.
Yeah. I had my dentist is using Dentist on Demand. So I use that example because that happened to me. So I went in and I have this wisdom tooth back here that got beat up pretty bad when I was playing hockey when I was 20 years ago. And it was kind of falling apart. So we were looking at options and he's like, you know what, we can try to crown it, but it's like underneath the bone there. It's a really tricky one to get at. He's like, I'm thinking an onlay might be a good fit for you. And I was like, let's just do an onlay and hopefully it sticks. So we did it, but it was a really difficult procedure. I mean, my hat's off to him for getting in there because you got to get right in beside the bone. It was painful. I didn't like the procedure, but I was like, I want it done. I don't want to lose the tooth. Right. So it's on me to say, you know what? And he did say, he's like, hey, Ty, like this might not feel very comfortable. Like, are you sure you want to do this? And, we double checked a few times and I said, yeah, no, just get it done. I'm a pretty good patient that way. I have a good high pain threshold. Or I guess patience threshold, like, cause it took a long time in the chair to get done. But my point is, like, so I went home and I knew it was one of the more invasive things I've ever had done in my mouth, but I was having pain about 2 or 3 days later. So I was then like, hey, I'm still experiencing pain. Now, of course, my dentist is a friend of mine. So I can just text him and be like, hey, like I'm having pain still. Is this normal? He's like, yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. We're good to go. But if I didn't have that personal relationship with my dentist, being able to hop on a virtual consult afterwards and being able to explain to them, hey, when you did this onlay on my tooth, like I'm having pain what do you think? Out of 10, what do you think? It's about a 6.5 to 7, and it's here. And, we now have this tool called the telescope, which you can actually stick in your mouth and take a picture of, any problem areas. But it would have been nice for me to hop on a virtual consult with him and be able to show him what's going on in my mouth. If it's really inflamed, if I'm bleeding, if there's an exposed root or something going on. And again, the virtual consult would have helped me sort of show that to him. That's kind of a long.
Now, I guess. No, but I think it's a great example. I guess one question is, what about like HIPAA compliance, or like can we do this over Zoom calls? Like do you need? Is there any risk that a dentist assumes by doing this with or without Dentist on Demand?
We have all of our tools are all HIPAA compliant.
Everything's HIPAA
compliant. compliant.
So the misconception about Zoom is that it's not HIPAA compliant. Well, the free version, not HIPAA compliant. Yeah. That is true. So if you use the free version for doing virtual consults, or if you're talking to a patient over the free Zoom, you are not in compliance with, and in Canada, it's PIPEDA.
Yeah.
There is a HIPAA compliant, a healthcare version of Zoom, which is actually the Zoom we're talking on right now, which is, we've run over 45 minutes. But my point is, there is a HIPAA compliant version of that. So also, it's really important, the security of data collection, medical history forms. If you're doing virtual consults, they do need to meet security guidelines.
And we have a firm that we deal with, DFI, and we've really picked his brain on how to set this thing up properly. And he's digital forensics, so he has all sorts of people. He's the guy that shows up to the practice when there's a ransomware attack. So he's just one of the smartest guys I know. He was a lawyer turned digital forensics expert. So
we've gone to like 3 lawyers on this, and we're like, okay, so where are we exposed on this?
Yeah. We have no loose ends, so that for us is paramount. If we have loose ends, it's like a house of cards, right? So,
so I guess if doctors are interested in their whether it's virtual consult or some of the marketing stuff you guys discussed earlier, what's the best step? Just dentistondemand.com.ca. What's your social media? Where can they find you guys?
Anywhere, yeah. Send us a direct message over Instagram, info@dentistondemand.
Twitter, Facebook,
LinkedIn.
Like we have TikTok now.
TikTok.
Smoke. I don't want to see.
We're working on our smoke signal machine. So,
but yeah, like info@dentistondemand.com. That's the most commonly used one. But you guys, mostly it's digital communication. So most people are going to send us an email. We're going to reach out to them and say, let's set up a Zoom call. We'll show you some of what the tools that we offer look like. But yeah, it's hopping on a call with me or Mark or one of our team members to show, like, if there's something specific, someone dials in on the review capture product that we have. They can just say, you know what, I like everything you guys do. We just want that review tool.
Mm-hmm.
Then we
can do a la carte. Yeah. And we're passionate about this stuff. So happy to talk to anybody. So.
No, guys. Hey, this has been awesome. I think I think we should kind of think about wrapping this up. Lastly, before we do, is there anything that I haven't asked or haven't touched on that you guys want to address real quick? Or
yeah. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Or what is it? Is it a sandwich or?
We always have these guest the guest questions, but we're the guests, so he has to ask us.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Question. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Well, how many times have you asked that question?
Twice now.
Twice. Okay. All right. So do you have an answer?
No, I don't.
I've been asked that question.
It could be both, I suppose.
Okay, you give us your answer, and then I'll tell you what my answer was.
Oh my goodness, I don't think I haven't processed this yet. Is a hot dog a sandwich? No, it's not.
No? Why?
I can't tell you why it's not, but I just don't feel it is.
No. Okay.
It's a feeling. That's fair.
I also said no, and I said no because there's no crust.
But the outside of the bun is kind of crust.
Isn't that? Yeah, I think Mark, you're right there. The whole bun is crust. Busted. So
it's not crust.
I guess
it's not crust. No, I think we covered a lot of it, man. I think it's we're a new style of company, I guess, is what you would say. I hate to make that analogy to Uber or Skip the Dishes or all these wonderful companies that are popping up. They're aggregators. They're ways of really taking friction out of the process for people. So, at the end of the day, people are like, what is Dentist on Demand? What does it do? Well, we're really just there to take all the friction out of seeing a dentist, to the point where you literally can go on your phone and be like, hey, I can talk to this dentist in 3 minutes.
And Tyler and I are having like eureka moments. Like every single day, I'll send him a text message like, "Oh my god, this is working, man! It's so cool." So
The analytics stuff,
we're
like,
having a lot of fun.
dialing into Google and really driving, reviews, rankings, and the SEO stuff, so that we can. I mean, our clients get a report from us every month, and we're like, "Here's your traffic report. Do you want more? Do you want less? What do you want us to turn the dials up, or are you good for now?"
That for us is the most important thing. Most important piece of this is like it works. Look.
Yeah.
And that analytics report is critical for us, because we get that a lot where people are like, well, I'm using a marketing company, I just don't know if it's working. It's like, well, most marketing companies do offer the analytics behind what they do. So we want to say, okay, well, we're a hybrid, right? So we're going to give you what you need for a very, reduced cost. Now, we're not a full-fledged marketing firm, so keep that in mind. But we're also going to give you some analytics to say, here's what you've put into the vending machine. Here's what you're getting back. Are you happy with that ROI?
If we wanted to be a fully fledged marketing firm, we could, but that's not our objective here. We're trying to make the marketing piece for dentists more affordable.
Easy.
Like not $10,000 a month,
And like automate the content process. No one's done it yet. So we have a formula to automate the content creation, curation, generation process.
And just making oral health that much more accessible to patients.
Guys, I think we could probably keep this going, and I think there's probably enough content here for another conversation like this in the future. So I think we should definitely consider that and do that.
It is Friday, and we don't have a cold one in front of us. So it
is Friday. Yeah, I've got a 3-day-old baby downstairs. I got to go kind of tag off. So
did you know Bobby just had a baby?
What's that?
Did you know Bobby just had a baby?
Yeah, congratulations, man.
I look great, don't you think? I just had a baby, but
you look well rested, my friend.
What's your secret? Let's have another hour conversation.
There you go. Right on that. We'll talk about that later too. I guess, just touching on what you just said, just briefly at the end there. When I look at Dentist on Demand, my opinion of Dentist on Demand is, you talked about analytics and reporting and marketing and that obviously that's fantastic and it's needed, but I also see a lot of other people that are doing that as well. The one thing that I've always associated with you guys and what you're doing differently that no one else is doing, where you talk about the Uber and like those skip the dishes and those disruptor businesses, is this virtual consultation with a patient, between a patient and a dentist. I think that, again, no one's doing that, and if anyone's doing that, they're probably not compliant in the ways that they're doing it in regards to using free Zoom and not talking to the lawyers and professionals you guys have. So I see that as being the big disruptor in the industry, and that's the thing that interests me in this most. And again, for a dentist to step out of the comfort zone to take that on, to try that, again, it would be as challenging or more challenging than, say, starting a podcast or really putting your picture and face and your true message out there. But again, when offices are trying to compete against DSOs or other practices in this growing competitive world, really, I see that as something that's going to have to happen. Back in the day, Tyler, 10 years ago, most practices probably operated Monday to Thursday, 9 to 5, and people came to the dentist when the dentist had time for them. But now more and more practices are open weekends. More and more practices are doing evenings. And again, it's just because it's becoming more what the patient wants to do. Yeah. And I know doctors struggle with that because they want to do the 9 to 5. They want to be golfing on Friday. But again, the industry is changing over the past 10, 11 years. And again, I think with the video consult that you guys are offering, it's going to take a lot for people to, step up to try it. But I think that's really, again, 10 years from now, I think I would predict that not just dentists, I think veterinaries and medical doctors and everyone else is going to be doing this as well, because again, it's that interactive time with the patient. So that's what I see as the true value. Also, there's lots of other value there which you guys offer. But anyways,
you're totally right.
It's going to be awesome when the vet talks to his dog over virtual consult. Right? How's it going down there, Ruffy?
You're right. And I think with virtual consults with teledentistry, I think it's just going to be it's a service that everyone's going to have to offer on some level. And really the secret ingredient is just getting your reps in, because the first 5 to 10 consults are going to feel weird, awkward, discombobulated. But once you get 10 to 15, 20 consults in, you'll start to get into a rhythm. Like, okay, I know how I'm going to do this now. And
everything new gives you that feel.
Yeah. It's a new thing in dentistry. So everyone's just got to get used to doing it.
But then, and also just again, look at COVID as an accelerator, how COVID has accelerated, the adaptation and changes in so many industries.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law is a medical doctor in New York, and she was pregnant during COVID. And so she was doing a lot of telemedicine because they didn't want her in the hospital. She didn't want to be in the hospital. And so again, what's happening in the States generally trickles up. It happens in Canada, a few years later. So this is happening in other industries. And again, here's an opportunity to be the early adopter into this realm. And again, just more exposure. Again, you're just going to become more comfortable. So anyways, I'm sounding too much like a sales rep for DOD.
Before the guy down, before the practice down the street's offering it.
A little bit, right?
Yeah,
it'll happen.
You can be first, or you can be, or you can be last.
Or and then.
Anyways, hey guys.
Oh, you got to run. Please. Well, I was just going to say real quick, the one thing that we do as well. This is, and I know we don't want to go into sales speak here, but we also within that review capture tool, you can also see everybody else that's on Google around you in your same in the same industry that you're in. So again, it's. I don't like using the word competition in dentistry. I don't think that's what it's about. I think it's more about just making sure that you're telling that unique story. But on top of that, you can sort of measure yourself up against other people who are on Google with that tool that we offer. So I just want to throw that in there, make sure we have that actually in this session. But going back to what you're saying about, being a salesman for Dentist on Demand, I appreciate all the great things you say about it, but it's really us putting it out there, seeing where people are having success with it, and going, yeah, okay, this is exciting. This actually works. We're seeing our dentists having success with that. And for us, that's what's really exciting.
For me is the hugest reward. It's like when somebody has our eureka moment and they're excited about using a tool that we deployed. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So if a doctor listening to this contacts you guys, do you guys have those reviews, those referrals, the feedback from your current users that they can listen to, watch, interact with to kind of to get that side of the story?
Yep.
Fantastic. All right.
In terms of like a testimonial kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's not talk to you and me about this. Let's talk to the guys that are actually using this, guys and girls that are actually using this to get their feedback on how it's affecting their practice.
Yeah, that's why we wanted Sarah to come on, because we just sort of wanted to pick her brain on what she was doing in this. Like she was like, I'm having so much success with this. Mm-hmm. She's like, I just sold a huge case 2 days ago. It was amazing. We're all celebrating, excited. And I said, okay, so would you mind coming on our podcast and telling us and it's not making us rich. We're really just giving them this tool. We're just kind of passing it on to them to say, you know what, make sure this is giving you some success. So the ROI for her, she's like, we're paying pennies for this tool and it's helping us bring so much more cosmetic dentistry into the practice. So we really wanted to dive into that story and say, okay, well, what are you doing? If you wouldn't mind sharing with us, how's that going for you? How are the patients receiving that? They have patients coming in from Prince George into Vancouver. They're flying into Vancouver for the weekend, having some veneers done and flying home.
It's invaluable.
And she's getting these people online doing a virtual consult saying, hey, that's cool. We're in Vancouver. You want to come down to Vancouver for the weekend and get your teeth done? Sure. Mm-hmm. Like that for me, that blew my mind just hearing that story alone.
We can find those patients out there.
That's incredible. That really, really is. All right, guys. Hey, I think we should put a pin in this. We're right at an hour. This is not intended, but again, it was a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of good content here, information. Thanks so much. I think we should maybe look at doing this again down the road, just to take a deeper dive, more specific dive into Dentist on Demand. But hey, guys, I appreciate it a lot. Thanks a lot, and talk to you guys soon. All right.
Hi, Bob. It was great to be interviewed by you, man. We love your podcast, and
we'll have you on ours next time.
Yeah, you can be a guest on ours.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Okay,
all right, guys.
We'll sign off.
Bye for now.